Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 35. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Astotara Sata Shri Shri Madhesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 35. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mana Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kontena Konteya Vairagena Chagrihate. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mana Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Konteya Vairagena Chagrihate. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamsayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Konteya Vairagena Chagrihate. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha the personality of Godhead said, Asamshayam, undoubtedly, Mahabaho, almighty armed Arjuna, Manaha, mind, Durnigraham, difficult to curb, Chalam, flickering, Abhyasena, by practice, Tu, but, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Vairagyena, by detachment, Cha, also, Grihate, can be so controlled. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Blessed Lord said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and by detachment. Purport. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind is expressed by Arjuna and is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, it suggests that by practice and detachment it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe strict rules and regulations, such as placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the supreme supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in the 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. But detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshambhuti, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mind, and eating foodstuffs offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mana Durdigraham Mahad Abhyasena tu Kontena Vairagyena Sagrihate. As explained by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, the process is hearing. Of the process for understanding God, the process of bhakti or connection with Krishna in a spirit of devotion is divided into 9 categories: hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, serving the lotus feet, becoming a servant, becoming a friend, and surrendering everything to Krishna, and offering worship in the temple. These 9 processes begin with Shravanam, hearing. Nowhere does it say Drishyam, looking. It is about hearing. We do not see Krishna by looking. We see Krishna by hearing. The perfect example is Arjuna. Arjuna and Krishna were intimate friends. Arjuna saw Krishna on a regular basis, but he didn't understand Krishna's position until after he heard the Bhagavad Gita. In other words, just looking at Krishna without hearing about Krishna is not the process. For example, one looks for a guru, and that is a very common process these days, that look at this person, is he a guru, is he a better guru, is he a different guru? But you don't see guru by looking, you see guru by hearing. The process of accepting guru is that you spend 1 year in his association or her association to gauge whether this person is actually suitable for me to surrender. And at the same time, the guru, he examines his prospective disciple over a period of 1 year to see if this disciple is actually fit and whether he will actually follow the instructions of the guru. So you don't find a guru by looking, you find by hearing, Shravanam, and hearing about Vishnu. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. By hearing about Vishnu, we become cleansed, and the decision to hear is made by the mind. And here, and in the previous verse, Arjuna frankly said to Krishna that I cannot control my mind. I cannot go to a secluded place and practice yoga. In previous ages, millions of years ago, in the Satya and Treta Yuga, people used to be expert in the process of Ashtanga yoga, yoga meditation. They could sit and actually control the senses and concentrate on the presence of the super soul, Krishna, within the heart. They were not disturbed. But nowadays, and also during, what to speak of nowadays, even during Arjuna's time, it was not possible. It was possible for few, certain yogis, but not for the common person. Arjuna was a prince. His father was the emperor of Bharat, emperor of the world. When his father died, Arjuna, his elder brother, would automatically be the next king. But because they were little boys, the uncle of Arjuna, Dhritarashtra, the elder brother of Pandu who died, he became the regent of the kingdom. But he was blind. He was not allowed himself to be king. But he thought, I couldn't be king because I'm blind. But my younger brother, he became king. Now he is dead, so why should not my sons be the king? So this is the political intrigue that went on there. In other words, Dhritarashtra, who was in control of the political administration, in control of the resources of the world, he didn't think, what is the benefit of the kingdom, the benefit of my subject? He thought, what is the benefit for me? My son should be the king. But his son was spiritually unqualified, and Dhritarashtra knew this. Still, because of family attachment, he supported his son at the cost of the sons of Pandu, his brother. So this is the intrigue. This is a material world. So the mind, when it identifies with the body, then it becomes selfish, because the senses want to enjoy, and enjoyment in the material world is at the expense of something else. You cannot enjoy independently. When you enjoy in the material world, you are taking Krishna's property. And if you don't recognize that Krishna is the provider of that property for you to enjoy, and thus enjoy the property according to Krishna's direction, then you become a thief. You become culpable. So controlling the mind is very, very important. And Therefore, Krishna advised Arjuna, Tasmad, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, under all circumstances, madanusmara yudhyacha, think of me and fight. My arpitam manobuddhir, you by engaging my mind in devotion, arpitam, manobuddhir, your intelligence and your mind, mame vaishasya samsa, you will come to me. This is the wonderful gift of Krishna consciousness. And it is not difficult. Why isn't it difficult? Because it is already there in our heart. We hanker for love, but the love we find in the material world is contaminated by lust. There is self-interest involved. And even if you make adjustments for the self-interest, even if you tolerate this watered down love mixed with lust, it will come to an end. You cannot make the situation in the material world better. By solving material problems, you do not solve the spiritual problem. The spiritual problem is that we are eternal servants of Krishna. So, savai mana Krishna padaravindayo. So we should use our mind not to satisfy our senses. We should use our mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. Why? Because when you put your mind at the lotus feet of Krishna, you enter into reality and what is real. You awaken that connection with God which you already have, because Krishna is our Father. He's our Creator. You go back, I have a father, he had a father, he had a father. Back. The original Father is Krishna. Anadir Adi Govinda. Govinda has no beginning, but he is the beginning of everything. And therefore we have an eternal connection with this beginning. It is there. We just forget it because we become entangled in material life. It's just like a child when he throws a tantrum. He goes with his mother to the shop and he wants something. And his mother says, no, you cannot have it. No, I want it. You cannot have it. Then he starts crying. He sits on the floor. He lies on the ground. He kicks his legs, screams and shouts, and he throws a tantrum. Nobody can stop him until the tantrum is over. They just have to be patient until he finishes the tantrum, and then he gets up and he calms down. So this living in a material world independently of Krishna and hankering for what is his property. When I want something, it belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. Even when I want to get engaged with a woman or a man, that woman or man is a spirit soul, and they are eternal servants of Krishna. If I take that service for myself, I am stealing from Krishna. So living in a material world independently of Krishna consciousness is a giant temper tantrum in slow motion. So the great poet Govinda Das, he wrote a beautiful song, and he said, Bhaja unre mana Sri Nanda Nandana. My dear mind, please, you worship Nanda Nandan. Nanda Nandan is Krishna. Nanda is Krishna's father. When Krishna comes to the material world, he accepts a mother and father, who are actually his great devotees. So Nanda Nandan. Nandan means give him pleasure. So who gives pleasure to Nanda? Krishna. So Bhaja unre mana. My dear mind, worship Krishna. Why? Abhaya charanara vrindare. Because at his lotus feet, you will become free from fear. If you are a criminal, if you are stealing from someone, you will never be peaceful, because you know at any time you will get caught. So we may steal all life, but death will come, and at the moment of death, judgment will come. Bhajan koro, saran koro, marte jangle nai. There's a saying in Bengal. You can do whatever bhajan you like. You can do whatever sadhana or austerity you like, but your spiritual activities and your austerities will be tested at the moment of death. So bhajan koro, you can do whatever bhajan you like. Sadhan koro, whatever austerities you perform, marte jangle na. You cannot overcome death. That will be the time when you will be judged. And everybody knows this. Even if they don't admit it consciously, it is in the subconscious. Therefore, we are always afraid. Not only the human beings, the animals also. I have a garden. When I go out in the garden, I see the birds flying. As soon as they see me coming, they fly away. What to speak of the birds? Even my neighbor's cat. If he sees me coming, he turns the other way because he doesn't know. He's afraid. The birds are afraid. The animals are afraid. The human beings are afraid. But if you take shelter of Krishna, then abhaya charanara vindare. You become free from fear by the protection of Krishna. Because just like a child, if he's lost, he's afraid, but as soon as he finds his father, then he becomes free from fear. Prabhupada told a very nice story that once he was with his little son, 4 or 5 years old, 3 or 4 years old, and they were taking the tram in Calcutta. In those days, Calcutta used to have trams, believe it or not. So the conductor came to Prabhupada and took his ticket. And then he made a joke and he said to the little boy, "Where is your ticket?" And the boy said, "I have no ticket." He said, "Then you have to get down." The boy looked at the tram conductor and he looked at his father and says, "No, my father is here." So you see, he felt completely protected by his father. The conductor could not make him afraid. So if you take shelter of Krishna, nobody can make you afraid. So abhaya charanara vindare. And it is important to take shelter of Krishna, to preach to your mind, to do it now, because durlabha manava janama satsanga. It's very difficult to get a human birth. And what to speak, the difficulty of getting a human birth, because if you look around you, millions of living entities are born at every minute, but very few are humans. Manava satsanga. Not only that, after getting a human birth, it is very difficult to get association of people who know the truth. If you look at the world today, there is no institution that teaches the nature of the soul. Maybe the Krishna consciousness movement created by Srila Prabhupada. It's the only institution on this planet that teaches you that you're not the body, you're a spirit soul. So, and why is it important to associate with devotees? Tarao he bhava sindure. Because by associating with pure devotees who are connected with Krishna, you can cross over the ocean of material life. Then the poet goes on, Sita atapa bata barishana edina jameni jagire. Material life, in the winter and in the summer, in the rain and in the wind, we are simply working very hard. Sita atapa bata barishana edina jamini jagire. Night and day, the karmis are working so hard, irrespective of just to earn a living. And what is this living? So, Sita atapa bata barishana edina jamini jagire bipale sevinu kripana durjana. You try and get a job, and it is you have to serve someone for a little bit, and the person you serve is taking advantage of you. Vipale sevinu, you're serving with getting very little or no proper appreciation. Kripana durjana, people who are miserly and wicked. Chapala, and the result of this work, this back-breaking work, 9 to 5, 5-6 days a week, some people need to have 2 jobs, both husband and wife have to work just to maintain an apartment, to maintain the family. Then, chapala sukha labha lagire. And what do you get in return? Chapala sukha. A little bit of happiness which is flickering. So, then Govinda Das, he comments that you have a family. What happiness is there in this? What happiness do you find in putra parijana, in family and children? It is, you're getting this little bit of happiness which doesn't solve the real problems of life. So what will solve the problems? Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Vandana, Parasevana, Jagire. So hearing, chanting, offering prayers, offering puja to the Lord, Pujana, Sakijana, offering puja, offering worship in the temple, Sakijana, becoming Krishna's friend, Atmanivedana, and surrendering to Krishna. Govinda Dasa Abhilasare. And the poet, he said, this is my abhilas, my intense desire to be able to hear and chant. And Srila Prabhupada made it very easy for us to hear and chant. He has given us his books. There is more than 1,700 lectures of Srila Prabhupada, so you can hear him speak even today. And by his association, you can become free from the illusion of material life. By hearing about Krishna from Prabhupada, why is it important to hear from Prabhupada? Because Prabhupada actually knew Krishna. He had Krishna, and he is able to give him to us because he had him. He wasn't pretending. If you read his books, he's very consistent. And if you listen to his lectures, it's very consistent. Year after year, beginning from 1965, 66, for 10 years, his lectures were always the same. Because he was actually on a liberated platform. When you're on the liberated platform, you don't come down to the material platform. You don't encourage people to ruin their lives in engaging in sense gratification. Therefore, one of Krishna's incarnation, Rishabdev, who had 100 sons, and before he retired, as he was also an emperor, before he retired from his kingdom, he gathered his sons and he gave them final instructions. Nayam deodeya vajam riloke kashtan kaman arate budvijamya. My dear sons, material life is not meant to satisfy your senses. Sense satisfaction is also available in animal life. The dogs satisfy themselves, the pigs satisfy themselves. So what is the purpose of human life? Tapo dibyam putraka. Putraka, my dear sons, tapo dibyam. Spiritual austerities are important. Why? Yena shudyat sadvan. Because by spiritual practice, you become purified within the heart. And then, Brahma Shukam to Anantam. And by becoming pure at heart, by understanding your spiritual nature and its connection to the supreme spiritual nature, you become happy, Sukham, and Anantam, unending happiness. Once you understand your relationship with Krishna, you become free of birth and death. That birth and death may happen, but it doesn't make any difference. I may take another birth or not. As long as I remember Krishna, I will always be happy. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikramanasho Asti, in this endeavor, in trying to understand me, in hearing about me, there is no loss and there is no diminution. Whatever you achieve, it will remain with you. Pratyavayuna vidyate, there is no lessening. It remains with you. Swalpam api, even if you perform a little bit of devotional service to me, Swalpam api asya dharmasya, in this endeavor of understanding me, trayate mahato bhaya, to become free from the greatest fear. Therefore, we look at the feet of Krishna, we pray to Krishna to be situated at those feet. We don't pretend that we know Krishna by looking at his face. It is very difficult to see Krishna face to face. Even the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they cannot see Krishna face to face every day. They see him in the morning, but then he goes to the forest. Then they don't see him. Then in the evening he comes back, then again they see him. One of Krishna's benedictions, when he lifted the Govardhan hill, to protect the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the rains of Indra, he lifted the Govardhan hill and he created a beautiful garden underneath. And for 7 days and 7 nights, he held this hill up, and under the hill, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, with the cows, they were perfectly protected. There were beautiful gardens and fruits and flowers, everything they needed. And safe from the torrential rains coming down from the skies. But the great benediction was that for 7 days and 7 nights, they could look directly into Krishna's face without any interruption. So for 7 days and 7 nights, they could look directly at Krishna and experience his beauty. And so, when you get a chance to see Krishna, you start with the lotus feet, and then he will give you the benediction, and one day you will see him face to face. Thank you very much. So we have a few comments from Raven Cloud. My humble obeisances to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Anjani Hanumana, Hare Krishna. Mandy Prayer from England, Hare Krishna. Good evening. So, good evening to you. Thank you for listening. And remember to hear from Srila Prabhupada. That is the secret. I've been hearing from Prabhupada for 45, 50 years. There is no greater benediction that I can offer to anybody, that you become attached to hearing from Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Hari Bol.